With so much speculation right now in the financial markets, are there any good places to invest your money? Welcome to YCG, where we help your capital grow so you can achieve your financial goals. If that's something that interests you, then hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so that you don't miss a thing. I'm Will Kruger, CEO here at YCG, and today I'm joined by Brian Yacktman, President and Chief Investment Officer here at YCG. Welcome, Brian.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So today's Mind on Market segment, we're looking at the insurance brokerage firms. Let's get into this. With all the speculation that's going around us, where are YCG finding opportunities?
Well, overall, I should say we like to focus on a lot of these dominant, boring businesses that are not at the epicenter of speculation. And so in that group, we really like the two largest insurance brokerage firms, Aon and Marsh Mac.
Those are really boring names, huh?
Yeah. That's true, which is no wonder it's not at the epicenter of speculation.
True. All right, so tell us about these two names then. How does Marsh Mac and Aon fit into the strategy?
Well, for starters, look at the industry. So insurance is very mission critical to conduct business. And so it's a fairly acyclical business. No matter what's going on in the world, it continues to be necessary. Historically, it's maintained its share of GDP over time. And so since insurance brokers have pricing power, in our view, they're global champions that essentially act as a toll taker on GDP. So over the long run, they potentially have built-in growth basically for as far as the eye can see, because as global GDP rises, insurance needs increase. And then they act as a toll taker on all of that activity. So it's almost like they're indexed to global GDP.
So you mentioned pricing power. Elaborate more on there. How do they have pricing power?
Sure. So pricing power, because they have this unrivaled global network. There's a network of insurance buyers and sellers, and the broker's the middleman. And so they're becoming more valuable as there's more globalization and urbanization around the world. They have very sticky relationships. So it's a large network of relationships where they have 90% client retention. They're helping analyze all these complex insurance needs. And the other thing is they're serving Fortune 500 businesses. And so there's this issue, what we call the principal agent problem, which is actually principal agent benefit, that also contributes to their pricing power. Because if you're an employee of a Fortune 500 company and you're acting on behalf of owners, you would rather make the conventional choice and just pick one of them as your broker than to pick some other cheaper competing broker just because they're cheaper. And the reason is because of the risk to your career if you switching to the cheaper broker doesn't work out. And so people continue to go with status quo.
So given all the speculation and the future being so uncertain, if things got measurably bad and worse, how would these two names, Aon and Marsh Mac, how would these two companies perform in a bad economy?
Well, you can't predict things perfectly and know for sure. But, what we've seen is they're very acyclical businesses with very steady revenue streams. And that should hopefully, we believe, hold up in a variety of scenarios. So, for example, if inflation rears its head, they essentially have built-in inflation protection because they take a percent cut of the rising premiums. On the other hand, let's say you're in a deflationary environment. Well, because they disproportionately are serving the largest companies in the world, those types of businesses tend to generally take market share in bad environments, which could ultimately then lead to their benefit. The other thing I like is that they're less sensitive to interest rate moves. So if rates go up, many stocks are going to experience severe multiple compression, but in their case, their multiples are already reasonable, and any multiple compression can be offset by a boost to their earnings because they earn interest on the float from the premiums that they collect. And hopefully they can perform well during black swan events. So consider this, you go back to 9/11. Did you know they were one of the only stocks that I'm actually aware of that was up during the aftermath of 9/11. And it's because what happens is during these black swan events, they normally lead to a repricing upward of insurance coverage. and then they collect a larger fee. In the example of 9/11, there's thought of now maybe there's going to be terrorism insurance and an increase in those rates, and then they get a percentage cut of that. Or during COVID, coronavirus times, business interruption insurance. So it's really like the most ideal business in our view, because it seems like no matter what happens, they just generate cash.
It's incredible. Well, we certainly look at valuation here at YCG. Let's kind of shift focus there. What do the valuations look like with Aon and Marsh Mac?
Well, what's nice is they're both relatively and absolutely cheap, right? They're great, but old, boring businesses. And so they haven't experienced anywhere near the multiple expansion that many other great businesses have, making them very attractive on both of those measures, both absolutely and relative to everything else in the market. And, while the brokers, they've underperformed recently in the stock market, what's interesting is over the long run, both the insurance brokerage group and like as a basket, as well as Aon and Marsh Mac individually, they've had very strong and consistent returns versus the index for, multi-years, decades. So they've underperformed recently, but have a great track record long-term. And so we believe, ultimately that'll likely continue in our view. Ultimately, they're capital-light businesses that just keep on generating cash. They're serial acquirers of their own shares, typically acquiring 2 to 4% of their shares each year. So basically, we believe we can just sit back and continue to watch the magic happen.
Those are some great points and compelling arguments as to reasons why you should consider owning Aon and Marsh Mac. Certainly a pleasure talking with you today, Brian. And given all that speculation, it's great actually talking about real businesses that generate cash, that have pricing power. So thanks for all your thoughts today. Everyone, leave your comments below. Let us know what you think about the insurance brokerages and opportunities you're seeing. And check out our other videos, and we'll see you next time.